everyone. I thought Rhonda, sorry.
That's okay. You go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I've got some white sage going for us. And it's not the sage that does the work, it's your intentions. So, right now, if you have anything you want to let go of, let it go right now. Just let it go with the smoke, let it take it away. It'll always be back later if you want it. But right now, let's come into the sacred space of spirit sessions, a view of the light, where we have Rhonda, who's always taking good care of us. We have Bex bringing in our heart. And today we have Alexis of Ascension Diaries. Oh my God, the conversations are always so amazing when you listen to her. Maybe you know that, but today you're going to find out for sure. So, welcome to our show again, Alexis.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be welcome back to a show because then it means you were enjoyed the first few times. So it's just making me feel better about myself. So thank you, ladies.
Well, you're a ray of sunshine to us, Alexis. So I so enjoy your space weather reports. I look forward to them, and you always highlight what we need to know, and it's just you give so much. So I hope we're on Facebook.
We are.
I'm not sure if we are. Oh,
we're
we
live
are.
On Facebook. Yay. I've been sharing from Facebook, so we're there.
Awesome. Good.
Excellent.
Yeah. They were telling us we weren't going to be able to, but I think that's all conspiracy on my part. So, Alexis, we are so happy to have you joining us again, and remind us where you're coming from and a little bit about yourself.
I'd be happy to. I am currently broadcasting in from Sedona, Arizona, USA, and I am also in a state of disempowerment when it comes to my duties right now because we are having some issues with the public space weather equipment and satellite imagery. So we're in this beautiful little window, which actually happens often when I do interviews or have to do conferences. What is that the equipment, some sort of equipment is shutting off. And I believe it's probably some sort of beautiful synchronized moment where, the equipment's not there, but I'm here and we're physically feeling that we should be seeing something on the equipment, which is why a lot of people know it's not working. They're all checking it right now and they're finding out that there's nothing there. So I make joke about it because it happens so often, but there is a lot going on. And we were going to do this episode about the eclipse to kind of move through the eclipse situation, see how it was, what we picked up from it. And there's a lot to talk about, more than I was expecting. And it may go over the heads of some people even, but as the youth, as the hybrid child that a lot of you guys were waiting for the hybrid kids to come, we are here, we are emerging into adulthood, and we're here to just push you guys a little farther past your comfort zone sometimes with other ideas and things that maybe haven't quite been beaten out of us yet. So, and then the next generations are coming. And that's really what I've been seeing the most is we are now holding space for the newer generations to show up, these newer souls that are even more delicate and refined and gentle. And they need our bullish protection and our maturity to get to do what they're going to do here, which I am not even sure what that is yet. I just think it's going to be beautiful. And I'm even having a hard time fathoming it because I'm not a part of that group, but I am here to make sure that they have their protection to do what they need to do. So that's what it feels like a lot has come through and what's happening right now. I think it has a lot to do with the souls of our next generations and how they're being managed and controlled, and it's not working the same anymore. And there's that upset. I think pretty much the only economy of our planet is the souls, and it's really, I think, what a lot of us end up talking about and working for, no matter where we end up with our daily research or support, it's usually ends up coming back to the children. So that's what I feel guided to bring today to us is talk about that and obviously the data and so on, and whatever you guys are interested in hearing me talk about, of course, I'll go on and on. So let me know.
We love it. We love it. What about this eclipse? Did it kick your butt? Like it kicked a lot of people's butt? And what's the significance of it? And what is the common symptoms, the eclipse symptoms that some people may be sharing and go, hey, I didn't realize that was all connected.
Right. And yeah, so we had a lunar eclipse in Taurus, the sign. It was a blood moon as well. So it was like a full eclipse. It made a blood color from our planet getting in the way and casting the shadow on the moon. And before that, a few weeks was a solar eclipse. So we had the solar eclipse into the lunar eclipse window. And I would say that the second half of it for sure was definitely more about purging what no longer serves. Actually, a lot of people went into parasite cleansing specifically and was, in a way, divinely guided to pursue clearing and killing lower density things out of their body. And that, so below as above, I believe there was a similar experience happening. There was a purge going on. A lot of people's babies and animals especially were very much affected. They were sensitive, so they were purging in our homes at whatever time that their guts needed to. And I was dealing with a lot of moms and pet moms as well, being like, did you get any sleep last night? No, it's been multiple days. Like, I was up all night with my animals for multiple days. It's finally now recovering, but yes, it was a big one. There was a lot to clear, in the sign of Taurus also being the most stubborn earth sign, the most stubborn, slow moving, doesn't want to do anything unless they absolutely have to type of energy. So all of that energy was being purposefully transformed during that time. So of course, your most stagnant, unmoving, stubborn shadows were being exercised, I believe, during that time. And I was also watching the sun begin to produce a lot of sunspots, which is also connected to human turmoil. Basically, it's a similar reflection. So the sunspots coming towards us, which they are, when they began facing our planet, that's when all the equipment started coming down. Just a couple days ago, we were waiting for the sunspots to get directly towards us, and then it was like, and we're losing data like crazy, which is very common. Thankfully, I've been doing this a few years. I'm not as concerned about it now. Clearly, there is people who are paying attention and watching, being paid. You know, the military is taking care of it for the most part. And then we civilians get to, I would say, pontificate a little more, be a little more feminine about it, and also show, in a way, our masculine side, being like, we want to know this. We are fine with the raw data. Show us what's going on. Educate us. You have to replace yourselves. You know, all of these scientists have to replace themselves. People have to keep doing this, having the interest in this. And that's what I'm here to promote also, is promoting the interest in the astrological, astronomical movements and stuff, because although there are some universities you can go to, like there's one in Anchorage in Alaska where you can do the space weather education. I know somebody who's taking online courses for that. And there's University of Tomsk in Russia, which we get the Schumann resonance data from. They do that work. They had blackouts too. They took out a chunk. They didn't take it all out. They took out about like 5 hours a couple days ago.
What don't they want us to see? Do you have any
I
feelings
assume
of that?
extreme electromagnetic shifts that are natural, but I would say get the spiritual community too excited. I would say it's almost like to depress the spiritual community from seeing progress, because it works. It works.
Do you think like the data supports what we feel, then we feel more and it causes more shifts? Is that kind of what you feel?
Absolutely. I think it is. It's a total emotional management tool. I think it's emotional management, unfortunately.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who don't even know that there's a connection. They just feel up and down, and they're not sure what the connection is. And people like you are showing like there is a rhythm and there's a reason you're feeling that way, and that kind of makes the people who are feeling up and down realize they're not crazy.
Yeah, in a way, I'm also combating with emotional management techniques, where I'm also being like, taking this information away is not keeping people feeling in control, peaceful, in the flow. It's making it hard for them to connect to the flow. And that has been, I think, the key, is trying to make us feel like this is a random experience instead of the patterns that are almost entirely the situation is a patterning situation. And then we get our human like additions, where we get to shoot in human randomness and start new patterns and stuff and start new techniques and studies, which is what I think is being taken away from people. There's really not a promotion for people to become more intelligent and connected to the planet and the rhythms of our cosmos. I feel like that's a resistance, and that's what I was born to just break right through and just be like, no, I'm going to talk about this multiple hours a day, every single day, and never get sick of it. And a lot of people come to me for that information and have now successfully begun their own study, successfully seen their own patterns. They don't need to talk to me anymore. And that's great too, because just keep bringing me more curious people. I'm happy to initiate them into this knowledge, and then they can take it with their specialties and their degrees and their educations that they do have about physics and about human chemistry, about electromagnetic frequencies, about technologies, all of that, and take that information and use it for the good as well, and human biorhythms and stuff. I've had to learn all of this myself. I've really just had to begin again fresh, because there was such a huge factor missing from the equation of every psychologist and every therapist and every doctor. They're not considering the data of our own planet and our own sun as at all influencing us. So it's very weird. That was so hard to find out, but that's what motivates me now. So
it was interesting you mentioned biorhythms, because when I was your age, which was a while ago, they used to publish the biorhythms in human, like with the astrology. They used to publish like where the biorhythm cycle of humans would be at one time in the newspapers with astrology. But that all kind of disappeared. Right. And the biorhythms, are they connected to the Schumann resonance, which is connected to Gaia's like interface with us? Is that kind of, am I getting that kind of right?
Oh, totally. I'm pretty sure we are, I would say, just mini versions of our own planet walking around on the planet. So our little toroidal field is the same as our planets, and we run in the same music. We run in the same environment. We're a product of our environment, and learning the Earth's rhythms is how we can learn our own. There's no other thing we really have to worry about. Like we're on this huge intelligent body that's having these experiences on such a grand level. They're so easy to witness. Instead of us trying to micromanage our own bodies, we can just look at what the Earth body's being, what's happening to the Earth body. And it's pretty much piece to piece. Like there's really no disconnection there, which is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So watching the Earth get bombarded by the solar wind, I know exactly how that's going to turn out for all of the little cuties running around on the surface, little mini Earths, little Earth's children, how they're going to respond. It's going to be the same. They're going to feel the pressure. They're going to be burnt out. They're going to have nervous system pain. And like the Schumann resonances, when these solar winds hit the planet, it causes our atmosphere to make a sound, and a louder version of its sound, I should say. It's always making that sound, but it gets louder when there's more hitting us, because it's like a bell. So you just keep hitting it, it's going to get louder. And this loudness is also getting deleted out of the data often. And it's usually sudden loudness that gets deleted. And it could be because there is earthbound things being projected into the atmosphere that create this loudness for just a moment. Just this incredible activity could just be like a laser or an array of antennas trying to connect to a satellite on Jupiter. Like it's, whatever it is the science are doing, but it's interrupting our natural processes, kind of almost like even unhealthy acupuncture from the inside. And it's like we're popping holes up and through our own atmosphere with these frequencies, and it's causing, it's causing loss, it's causing leakage, it's causing destabilization of our whole planet. And there's insistence to keep using this tech as well, because it was so extreme. And now I feel like the extremeness is being corrected. But to do these corrections, it's alarming, I feel like, to people, because most people weren't watching the really horrible things, and the corrections aren't as intense as the horrible stuff. But the corrections look like the horrible stuff, and they look like attacks, in my opinion. So I think that's why they also take it out, is so they aren't being painted as the bad guys while they're trying to fix our atmosphere from back in the day when they were doing way more experimenting with it, and nobody had a computer or even a phone like to talk to each other back when they were doing telegraph and so on. There was events back then that they explained away as the sun or so on, but it could have also been an atomic explosion that went wrong on Earth and like other issues that could have happened that they're
That took out the whole Eastern Seaboard electrical system.
Exactly. It could have literally been an attack from another country that caused that, and they're blaming the sun, for example. And I feel like that's a very common problem, is that there is technology and so on going on, and then the Earth is just trying to be its natural self. And so I'm watching the Earth do its natural thing, and then I'm watching all these very sporadic random additions, and some of them are benevolent. As a psychic medium, that helps. I can get some information. Some is benevolent, some is not. And it's weird. There's so much stuff getting worked out right now. But I know we need to repair our atmosphere, and I think everyone knows that. And the electromagnetic field needs to be nice and strong because the solar cycle is about to get more intense. We're about to get more pressure. So our system has to be super healthy so we don't get over radiated and everybody gets cancer or something. Because I think during the last solar cycle, there was a major issue with that, which is why a lot of people got cancer back in like 2014. 2012, 2014 time. I felt like cancer was just everywhere. And it could have literally just been because our atmosphere was not strong enough for the solar cycle, and it caused a lot of people to like mutate poorly. And due to what's in our atmosphere also, like all of these unnatural elements and stuff that they're spraying around to try and replace the natural order, they're using unnatural things because that's all they got sometimes, I feel like, and it caused a lot of issues. And I'm hoping this round, I'm getting the message this round, it's going to be better for us. I think we've gotten through the hardest part, if that helps. But now we have to educate through all of that drama. And it's just impossible. I feel like it's impossible because there's so many countries, so much drama all happening at once all the time. But the goals, we want the same goal. We're all trying to come to the same goal where we want our planet to be a livable space. So we can keep experimenting with consciousness and ourselves unharmed and not just like ruin a planet before it's time, just out of complete ignorance. And I think that's also why a lot of us have hybrid or ET sort of experiences too, because there was, I want to say, cousins and family from other planets and star systems that came to help out because it got so complicated here. And I assume it's because it's basically a library planet. In my opinion, there's so many experiments happening at once. It's a very habitable place. It's a precious place, I think. And it's very, very tightly controlled in some ways to try and keep us all alive. Even the Taurid meteor stream that comes twice a year is from like a shattering comet that could have caused some serious damage to us 12,000 years ago. And there's a whole...
Wasn't that lucky? It just got shattered, so it didn't.
It's weird. Yeah, it's shattered, but there's still a nice big chunk of it, and they call it Enki, which is like, okay, it's extreme, like, you know, basically evil or like the fallen angel in a way. And so we're in that stream right now. And I don't know if you saw, but there was a house the other day in California that got struck by a meteor and burned. And I was wondering, like, is that possible? Like, was that really a meteor? And then I realized we are in that conditions right now. So it is likely that that could have actually been real, and a real space rock just hit that house from this huge stream of space rock and that were constantly around. And it's almost like this looming threat,
sort of Damocles hanging over our heads.
It is a little. And I assume we also have the technology to just do that. I think they tried to do that little display the other day where they shot something at an asteroid to like push it or something. They're trying to, on the mainstream, reassure people that objects flying towards us maybe aren't that big of a danger. We maybe have something to deter that. But they're really trying to freak everybody out about the poles shifting and flipping on each other 100%, which is, to me, extreme. I think the poles just migrate, and it's just a constant migration. So that's my opinion. A lot of people might argue with me, but there's some disasters I feel like were created to distract us from what actually could be disastrous as well, which has been tricky. Like the psychology of the military and how many years they've been managing the public opinion is very hard to catch up on in one lifetime. And
No,
I want to be compassionate also, because they did what they could at the time, and then they evolved through their mistakes, and we all do. And I just want to scoop them all up and be like, we want to help everybody out. Like, let's all do this. Like, there's no malice here. Let's just keep going. Let's, don't try and fix it all yourself. There's plenty of us here who can help. I'm saying it seems like I'm also battling egos of this whole structure, but I'm just like this grandmother coming to the planet being like, let's just take care of it. Like, it's okay. Just learn your biorhythms and stop taking prescription medication because it's full of metals and nanites and weird shit that can hurt you and track you and control you. And let's just do natural things and stop blowing things up with lasers and stop with the nukes, stop with nuclear stuff, because that rips holes in the time space. And just shh, everyone calm. And like, maybe I think the feminine energy is for sure taking over of Gaia herself, being like, okay, cuties, like we had fun. Okay, we had gotten in a little bit of trouble there, called in some help, and we're going to sort this out. Everybody have a snack. Like, it's kind of how it feels sometimes. Where I'm sort of
time out chair for humanity. Just
time out
listen to
chair.
Gaia.
Just listen to her. And I think that's what's had to happen, because I think there was attempts to try and take over her consciousness and her influence over everything, and it just was not possible. And it's because I don't think it's the grand design, So gladly, I feel very much a representative of Gaia herself in a way in this as well. And I try to have the scientific conversations, but it's really not the crux of what I'm here to help people with. It's more about connecting their soul back to the soul of our earth and the sun, so we can feel who we really are instead of be looking outside of ourselves for the answers from the elder humans running around on the planet who also aren't doing that. So
the sun and the earth, there's a dance there that goes on, isn't there? Like when,
yeah,
it's kind of like a dance. So
it's beautiful.
when
And it's
when
dancing with other planets. It's like a polyamorous, sun. He's making love and shooting energy at all the planets. I watch that often. That's why the astrology is fun, because
that's how it works. So when he I call him he,
sure
shoots like a big wave of solar wind at us, Gaia kind of responds to it by pushing back, or does she kind of retreat? How does it work? How do you find
she has a natural barrier that's all 360 around her, and just facing the sun. That barrier does get pressed closer when the solar wind's pressing it closer. It doesn't break. Sometimes they would say that they're scared that it's going to break and then we're just going to get slammed, but it's not going to break. It's stronger than ever. Honestly, I've been watching over the years, and I think they're doing something to improve our magnetic field. Also, the pressure on us makes the magnetic field stronger. So it's this beautiful back and forth system. It's like the two magnets that can't touch, like you press them against each other all you want, but there's this force that keeps them in their own energies in a way. And this pressure on us is the reception of more than usual information from the sun, but that pressure is always there. It's always there. It's just sometimes stronger than others. And yeah, I think it's beneficial. I mean, I really feel like the demons get exercised when that pressure increases. Those who cannot be in this resonance anymore have to be moved on and sloughed off, sent back out into the space stream,
recycled into light?
Recycled, yeah. And there's this whole organic process of the breakdown as well as the buildup of natural life. And the breaking down process is not revered like at all. I feel like on our planet there is there is such resistance to that process of then breaking down and returning the elements and doing something else with some energy. I feel like there's a lot of entities and stuff here terrified to break down and die, and they're doing anything they can to not experience that process. But it's just as beautiful as the birth process, in my opinion. And I think culturally, I can't speak for all the other cultures as I've only been in the West really, but culturally for sure the West needs to get their self figured out on how to deal with death, or like this, let's just decomposition process, because there's no death, but there is
moving on, transitioning. Yeah, it seems like we used to have we've removed it from our close consciousness. We used to be so involved with birth and death, and now we take it out of the house, right?
Yes.
People don't die at home. People don't die, and now we're starting to come back to dying at home and home births. So we're starting to have that return to actual feeling. Like even how Hollywood used to, when people would find someone dead, they'd scream and go crazy. Like it's just your friend that died, There's nothing scary about that, It's sad.
Yeah, the hard part is over.
Yeah. Graduation time. Yes. But yeah, it's the way
I've been learning about dying again and how to properly die in these bodies. And they say you literally just have to leave someone's body untouched for 3 days, because all their cells are still trying to die off and let go from their metabolic process. So if you do anything to the body in those 3 days, you're torturing the soul.
Wow.
And so can you imagine? Like I can, but it was like, we need to start teaching people not to mess with the bodies after they die for like a few days, because you're tormenting people. And I was like, good to know. Some people are the death doulas, and some people are the people who work with the birth. And I'd say as more of psychic medium, I get to be like the intermediary. Like I get to hear the messages from the incoming and the outgoing and how it went. And people being born, they're still having a tricky time. They're the people being born. I've had a lot of people have a lot of miscarriages and even stillbirths and issues like that for the last few years. Like it's tricky. And dying also seems to be it's a torturous process. They're torturing people through their death, like by not letting their body rest, by constantly pumping them with stuff and trying to keep their vitals going and artificially keeping them alive, and torture. It's like soul torture, unfortunately. And if anyone's hearing this and they have somebody who maybe is leaving in a hospital, but they're being hooked up too much, maybe for your own passing, be like, I don't want to go to those places. Put me in the bed and hang out with me as I slowly fall asleep and finally leave, sleep forever. It's supposed to be a more gentle process. And birth is supposed to be a way more orgasmic process than they let on. And I've learned that. Again, I've had to learn that, which is insane. I've had to learn that like through books. It's amazing. But the bringing into birth situations, orgasmic need, like to allow the body to like pull and push this energy as it was when you conceived the child as well. It's important, and people are so taboo about it, and it's supposed to be painful and there's a lot of changing. I mean, people are trying to walk out in the ocean and have the dolphins help them still, and they're not letting people do that. So that's another concern. There's a lot of resistance to the natural flow of life and death here. It's been a problem.
Yeah, I can see that. Bex, how have you felt for the past week? How has it been affecting you?
All over the place. It's been all over the place. I've been, like today, I'm super tired. My sleep cycles have been complete shit. I'm waking up every couple of hours. I have trouble falling back asleep. I have trouble staying asleep. And it seems to have caught up with me today the most. I've been able to push through, but today I'm just like completely zoned out and just kind of absorbing. Dreams have been wild and vivid and crazy and all over the place. I keep dreaming. It's funny you're talking about birth, because I dreamt about a friend having a baby. Then I dreamt that I had a baby, and my my factory shut down. There's no more babies coming from me. But I dreamt that I had a baby girl, and I'm just like, what is happening? What's all these birthing dreams going on?
Big theme right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't have
too.
birthing dreams ever. Like, it was just weird. And the friend that I dreamt about that had a baby, she actually went through IFE to have the one that she has, and he was her last egg. So like, it was weird that I would dream about her having a baby when, you know, that was something that is virtually impossible for her at this point, as well for me. So it's wild, but beautiful. You know, they're very beautiful dreams and experiences.
Okay. That's a relief. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's some babies being born in the astral plane through us. And it's weird, but they have to do it to get there at least a little closer to us. It seems like I'm doing the same. I was rescuing a baby, my own baby, and trying to explain when or how I had it. And then I recalled the ETs helping me have this baby in a dream, and then was trying to explain that I think this is what happened. And then I had to like escape an entire embassy in some random foreign country full of archbishops and all these weird religious folk. And I was like running out of the building with this child, like busting through windows, as I do. I love to break apart buildings, these types of buildings in my dreams. So it's been intense, but they're safe. I mean, we're doing our job. They're definitely, and like you said, you had a good dream about it, so that's good. The births were a success. It's it's tricky to have these convos too, because it's like, well, how do you explain that? It's like, well, multidimensional experience, I guess.
We're all connected, right? Through our
and I'm
water.
always like, it's the awareness that we do a lot of dream work. Like, our dreams aren't just things that just they're not movies we're just watching while we're sleeping. We're actively working in these dreams. We're working through things. We're in other dimensions, having lives. We're doing, you know, it's so many different aspects to dreams that we can't even really fathom. But the understanding that we're actively working, you know, our body may be at rest, but the rest of us is doing what we do, you know. So knowing that the things that we dream about a lot of times are happening in other planes of existence, you know, it helps.
I'm going to tell your story too at my workshop I'm doing on the 18th, which this month was themed dreams, because I got the message that that would be what we would be doing as guardians this month, was big dream work. So I can't wait to tell them, being like, oh, I got another friend who had this, and she can't even have kids anymore, and she's having those kids. So that's exciting. Thank you for telling me.
Absolutely.
It's all synchronicity. Teresa, I know you've had dreams this week. I just know. I'm not psychic. I just know.
Well, you know, I have. They're not the ones that come to my memory and mind, but there was a child, a young child I was helping. And I can't figure out why I was helping him, but he was little, and it was important for him to get to somewhere else. And for some reason, I was the only one that could get to him from here to there, where things would continue. So I don't even know. That was like a couple of days ago. So I don't know what that dream was.
Yep. That's all checking out.
It's funny about the themes of dreams. Eh?
Yeah.
The fact that I'm even having them and kind of remembering it. Waking up is like waking up every few hours and thinking I've slept all night. And then I realize, oh, it's only 2 a.m. 4 more hours. But is that part of the eclipse and the moon energy, how it affects our...
I assume so. I assume what happened was there was an opportunity through this eclipse where the veils were layered up a certain way. And I think that opportunity was taken in full force by, I want to say, the benevolent force of life and of these children. And there was children being brought here and children being taken out of here who had been rescued and need their souls to be repaired. So you taking a child and giving him a pathway out makes sense. And then bringing a child in also makes total sense. I cannot tell you how many synchronicities I did get about it, where I thought it was, again, I get a little excitable sometimes, but I don't try to get too excitable, because especially when it comes to kids, I want to be respectful, because it's a very serious matter. But I feel like I did see a huge plasma ship come out of the sun on the 2nd of November. I felt like I felt it land here. I watched the radars. I saw storms clustered over where I thought the ship landed. And I then came upon other even military people saying, oh, we successfully saved a bunch of children this week, and a lot of them are being adopted off planet to repair their fractured souls and stuff. And even my own family and their souls are involved in shuttling these souls around, which I didn't exactly know, but I got a huge, synchro about that. And it's a big duty, I feel like. And I feel like it was a major success, but also there's that resistance there as always. And now that that portal has kind of ended, I feel like there's a lot more like the cleanup almost, where the rebuttal and the flashback kind of from losing all those souls and losing all that raw energy from the parasitic structures that were using them. They're obviously screaming and crying and flailing around in their disempowerment, not knowing what to do. And all we have to do is just be like, you are part of God's creation. Like, you can just accept that about yourself and just be with all of us and not try and, keep it all to yourself. I think that's a major theme that's being kicked up from this too. But I'm glad that children are okay. And it's amazing. Like, even the concept of such a thing would be so out of bounds, I feel like, to discuss on a normal mainstream way, but it is going to have to somehow bridge, because people are having these dreams, many of them during that window of time. And
I'd like to see if anybody else has had dreams that are listening. Just comment and let us know.
Guarding the astral, like we wake up in the middle of the night because we have to be here for while something is happening there. And then we're up there and some people are awake down here. And it was very...
Yeah, this question has come to me out of left stream. So, what do mushrooms have to do with all of this?
Oh, yeah. So the Mushroom Collective also came in a lot during that time. And it was more, I find, for the adults who were here, who are doing this work and repairing the damage that TV and radio did to their brains, to basically disconnect and fry all their nervous system and all of their cell connections and their ability to think, basically. And I think the Mushroom Collective can just weave us all back together again in our brains, especially at a much higher rate, and our guts. And they actually just in Colorado, just recently, like in the last few days, have been doing some pursuit of making them decriminalized or some dumb thing. This is an intelligent race, these psilocybin mushrooms, and they're going to do what they're going to do, in my opinion, to help the ascension. And we just get to see how maybe the earth control structure wants to think that they're controlling the situation, but they're not. But there's this win, I feel like, also in the popular culture of it being accepted as well. But I got all those messages, and then I saw that the Colorado thing was happening, and I was a little bit surprised, like, oh, wow, okay, so they're really serious. They're really getting in our face. And that particular area might be one of the most controlled evil spots. And they did previously in Oregon just a few years ago. They fully allowed, I think, everything in Oregon, kind of like how they did in Portugal. They decriminalized everything. And again, Oregon was a majorly dark area, in my opinion. And in Portland and all that area was extremely extreme. Like, there was some very, very bad things going on there. And then they legalized all things, which could be also, the blood they harvest off children is legalized, like decriminalized, all those fun things, they allowed everything, right? And then, but the benevolence then gets to go, okay, and just like run ahead of everyone without that competition, and clear and recorrect a lot of people and spread that mycelial connection between our souls again. And they get something out of using our bodies. They get perspective and as well, because they're fruiting bodies, but they don't walk around. So
I never thought of, like, I know how important they are in communication,
right,
throughout the forest and everything. So if they're part of our bodies, if we ingest them, whether it's lion's mane or cytosylum or whatever else, then they begin to become almost like us, like
And some people get possessed by them because they have too much in their system, and then they're basically get taken over for a little while until we digest it out of us. But I've had that issue too. So really, I think little tiny bits, like just dusting it into your tea every other day will help replenish your your serotonin levels. And people are completely out of serotonin. Like the serotonin has just been ripped out of our systems as much as possible, in my opinion, from young age, like very, very young, like just because of how we did our diets, it was not conducive to our guts producing serotonin. So very quickly we ran out of fuel, ran out of energy. And with the help of these beings, I think temporarily we'll be able to restructure and regrow a lot of our neurochemical balance and maybe even our soil. I'm not sure. But I would say again, as a practitioner of a healing practitioner, this particular entity and group I've worked with them and they've asked me to help them in a way with who is wanting to work with them. Because there's a fear factor there sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like there's such a push for all the other types of healing mushrooms to be,
yes,
like
something.
It's, replacing caffeine with shroom coffee. And, and I do that now too.
Yay!
But, yeah, it's so good. And just going like, even just going and foraging for them and, and learning about them. It's like, it's a whole new like renaissance of that almost.
I did come upon them by accident on my birthday when I did grid working, growing out of a cow patty, which I had never seen in my life. And I was just shocked. And we didn't go anywhere else. We found them and then we were just like, we're going to sit here amongst literally cow shit and mushrooms. And we were like, this feels like the good spot. And we sat there for like an hour, 2 hours talking just amongst the energy of them. And it's similar with the cannabis plants also. When you're actually just sit amongst them growing in like a field or area, you don't need to engage with bringing them more into your body because their aura is the same. So we don't even have to ingest these things. You can just touch them or have them growing healthily on your land and around. And even that I feel like is helpful. And even the feng shui was big yesterday. I had a client come in. She wants to renovate feng shui for us and bring more of that to our awareness and how our body is the temple and our home is a reflection of our body and our temple. And for some reason I'm bringing that up, but I feel like we're going to be aware of this intelligence more and even be able to hurt it less and contact it less and ingest it less, but have it in our body, in our home, and it'll still be protecting us.
So as below, so above, or whatever it is, like you're going back to our toroidal field,
right?
That we are the reflections of Mother Earth, and when we bring these things into our space, that it helps reflect Mother Earth's energy more.
I agree.
It reminds me of Cryon, what Cryon had said about the tools that we use, like with crystals and things like that, and any tool we use, that once we've used it, it becomes a part of us, so we don't have to keep using it. It's already there.
Yes, every hoarder's dream.
We can get rid of it, but get more.
I don't want to get rid of my crystals, though.
I don't either.
They're friends.
I still like them. They're still here, but we don't have to have them on us all the time, so it's the reminder that once we've used them, once we've connected with them, not used them, once we've connected with them, they're a part of us. And that can be with anything that is natural.
I still have my kit that I'm taking to the hospital with me.
Good. Yes, because they need it.
Exactly.
I just need
weird delivery.
Yeah.
We work for them is what I've been hearing. Like they're like, we get to be cute and you get to manage our lives, and the pets are the same. They're like, you work for us.
Right. Oh, my cats definitely make sure I know that.
It's true.
Definitely.
This world really belongs to them, it seems like. We're just paying our dues. I want to mention also the comment somebody mentioned on the YouTube saying that they also had a dream about children and that they actually felt them physically touching them in the dream. That was that lucid. And I want to say, yes, 100%. The lucidity has been a major factor where I'm physically being touched and hugged. I also had an ET contact the other night where I was introduced to I want to say like somebody's a hybrid, but he was like 25. And he wasn't a child really, but it was another physical lucid experience where I knew that was not my brain. It was, I'm actually having a different experience right now in my dream time. And again, that's why I'm doing the workshop on my Patreon on the 18th, because there's so many things about dreams that happen. There's so many different things that can happen, and how you use it to code your day and then move forward. Also, dream with your heart. It's amazing. But yeah, the little kids, I've been feeling them too. And it's amazing. Like, I've never really been into babies, and I think I have trauma because I think I have been doing the hybrid mom thing for quite some time, and it runs in my family. So the baby thing's hard because they take them away. You don't get to keep the baby, but you're constantly being surrounded by babies. They're telling you, you're feeling it's yours, but then you wake up and they're gone. And it's
I hate that.
That's
nonstop.
what I felt this last dream. That's what I felt. Like, I woke up and I'm like, where is she? Like,
Right? It's awful.
My heart was so open, and then she's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such an intense experience.
And that's one thing I'm still hoping to get some English to explain or like make us feel better. But that's I would say, one of my deepest wounds for sure, where I'm like, this lifetime, I'm for sure going to figure it out, but I've been avoiding it. And sometimes you avoid a wound so much, you forget that that's your wound. And then you're like, oh, nope, I definitely am trying to find some hybrid. Like, where are my children? And it's hitting me now, but I think it's because they're here. And that this last round, it's who I feel like I've been waiting for. And I think a lot of us got to engage with these babies that we'd been feeling and wondering about for quite some time. So that was a relief for me. And also scary, where I'm like, ooh, I don't want to go to sleep again, because last night was so hard. Just to be like, where are these babies, But we are the babies. We are all the babies. Everything's babies. So I know this, but they're also playing on my like instinctual, womanly. There's like some stuff in there that's not just me. It's like collective woman issue.
Yeah, like a hormone, like that tie that binds us all, like the connection.
Yes.
The womb connection.
Yeah, it's like you have postpartum, but there's no proof.
Right.
Yeah.
That's been tough.
Yeah.
But I think mushrooms are here for that. I'll be honest. And it's been a huge help. And they've also been telling me something about them being the crystal rainbow children, but also sapphire children came up.
Oh, neat.
And I'd never heard of sapphire.
That's awesome.
Sapphire. So if you've heard of it, if that's come through, I don't know. I wanted to ask, but it seems like I'm still looking for data on that one, because even Dolores Cannon, in the interview I saw, someone brought it up to her and she was like, oh yeah, the rainbow crystal kids, there's all different colors. But the lady's like, no, but I'm doing sapphire children. They keep coming to me, and what are they? And she's like, but that was like 2015 or something, that interview. So I was like, again, like, okay, this was years ago and she doesn't know. I looked it up online. There's no article on like Ascension glossary about sapphire children. There's a sapphire crown they'd mentioned or something, but so it's mysterious for me.
So it's just still a little bit beyond that sight.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's yours to bring through.
It could be the new wave. Yeah. We got to talk about it. So welcome. The sapphire children. The sapphire children want to chat, I guess. So that's a cool name. That's a great crystal to work with. We don't get a lot of sapphire anything. I feel like sapphire is super underplayed. So
it's funny though, because I've been seeing, it's my birthstone, but I've been seeing sapphire pop up a lot lately.
See?
So it's funny that you're talking about it. And I'm just like,
Speaking of Princess Diana's engagement ring, sapphire.
Yeah, that Catherine's wearing now.
Oh.
Yeah. And she's the future queen.
I know.
They probably did that on purpose then. And she has like how many kids?
3. Catherine has 3. Yeah.
Interesting. That's definitely, I'm going to think about that one. Be like, what are you trying to say?
I like those
future royals. Yeah. The royals with future.
Christmas is blue too.
Yeah. But blue, the sapphire blue, is also related to Mother Mary. It's also the color of her aura, her energy. So
Yeah, the blue
yeah,
mantle,
there's
right?
I
It's
get
true.
that a lot too. Have to engage with those archetypes. I feel like when you get into like the Christ energy, you just kind of fall into those archetype pull patterns to like remember the feminine Christ energy. Maybe that's a tricky one too.
Well, it's like
Literally,
the top, like the, not, I want to say top, but like the maternal, like the strongest maternal
force.
energy, the nurture, the love, all of that. So of course that would,
Yeah.
be coming through the main divine feminine coming through, like the collective of it. So maybe that's what the sapphire children are bringing in, is more of that really strong divine feminine, the purity of it.
Yes, that's awesome.
Lots of food to think on. So, Bex, we have some questions for.
Did we prep her for these questions?
Yeah, we did.
I mean,
We did. Well, I don't
okay.
I have a dumb answer.
I mean, you know about them before, so. Okay, so question number 1. If you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, just for right now, what would that be?
I have to admit that I am picking the season 5 Sailor Moon intro and exit music of their show, because I've been rewatching that season, and when I stop watching it, it starts playing in my mind. I'm pretty sure I'm being guided. I just finished watching it yesterday. It's very intense, but spiritually and archetypally very helpful for my awareness, what they played through in that season, which was crazy. Like the ending fight scene was like 5 episodes long. It was crazy. Was sitting here like, can you just get it over with? Like, what the heck? But that's that's my theme song right now. So all the Sailor Moon energy, and just being, because they talk about a starseed. You're a soul of a star protecting over a planet. And all of these starseed had gathered on Earth because the final battle to basically steal all the star seeds was going down. So was unsuccessful. The battle went towards the good guys, which is great, pretty predictable, but they made it interesting. And yeah, I recommend people watch that show if it resonates with them, because as girly and silly as it can be, it's also extremely intense. Worth it. I liked it. So my recommendation, if you're feeling guided and that was an extra push.
Very cool. Well, remember that they have to disclose what's actually happening. So some of these things may actually have a level of truth to them if we're open to embrace that.
Agreed.
So I love that. Very cool. Okay, second question. What is your favorite crystal that you're working with right now?
Ooh, well, who came for the video today was a lovely little quartz with lots of little points. And we got this over by Saddle Mountain in Arizona, where they have agates and these quartz kind of coming out of the ground. They're everywhere.
So that one up.
Wow.
I picked this one up. This one lives with us, and I believe this is where they came from. Otherwise, maybe it was from Arkansas, but I want to go there and start checking out the quartz. I also want to go find some amethyst and stuff myself. I really want to get back into
definitely
the crystals, because I'm pretty sure these solar flashes and stuff also create these minerals and these experiences, which is why I think the prophecies were often like crystals will start coming out of the ground and so on with the new earth and crystal towers and all this. And I do see it in many versions. I've never come across so many well-formed crystals in my life than just the last couple of years, for sure.
wow.
All my life loving crystals, as a kid, looking everywhere and never finding anything as good as I have lately. It's promising. I'm like, okay, well, I'm down for this. More crystal towers and stuff. So what about you guys?
Oh, that's a tough one. We're not usually referred back to.
Sorry. I'm curious. I love
put
crystals.
us on the spot.
There you go. Another big quartz point. Beautiful.
Yeah, my good one.
This one came from Arkansas.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. We're all doing clear.
I had a few of them. I put one in my water to drink it. I told it to go ahead, download, and so I put it in the water and stuff, but not this one because I don't want to break off that little guy right there.
Yeah, delicate.
I guess one of my favorites right now is my celestite.
Ooh,
Oh.
love that one.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Beautiful.
I never go too far
So
without
gentle.
mine.
Yeah, I love that energy.
That's gorgeous.
But I also love my selenite that I have everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I have
can't get enough.
selenite crystal balls. I have selenite
So we can
plates.
bring out our
like,
wands or selenite
This is,
wands.
yeah.
I've got a whole shelf of crystals literally right next to me, so I could keep going. But
You can just
Yeah, we could too. I'm surrounded. And I'm always wearing them. I have like aquamarine on and labradorite that I always wear. So I
I'm
love
wearing
them.
amethyst and a Herkimer diamond today.
Yeah.
nobody's wearing sapphire though. We got to get some
No.
sapphire.
Yeah.
No, but I have some in
Actually,
my
I
room
am
on a
right
grid.
here. I'm
Oh,
wearing it
Oh,
right
yay,
there.
Bex.
Good for
It's
you.
my birthstone, so I wear it. Yeah, every day.
there you go. So
Yep.
you're the sapphire child I was looking for today.
Yeah.
There you go.
I found you.
Yeah.
Virgos.
Yes, Virgos.
Thank God for Virgos.
So recently, I mean, just recently, like in the last week, have you had some UFO contact besides the ones that come through your dreams? Have you seen some?
Yes, I believe I was getting tested again because I had failed previously a test where they walked a hybrid or a little ETs into my space, and immediately my immediate reaction in the astral plane often is like protective, like who goes there sort of energy, because I do claim my space in the astral. And I think that's very important. It's even when these are happening, it's like you still claim the space, but you are now the host of the space. And this is a guest who is here to see how polite you are, pretty much. How much of a good host are you? And that's what it felt like. I had some friends with me. We were all having a fun time, already sitting on the floor, like laying around, on your tummy, rolling around, talking, whatever. And then someone was like, I feel like my friend or my whatever is about to come here. And I was like, excuse me? And I look, and down the stairs into this like walkout basement comes this very tall young man. He had a long, elongated neck, elongated limbs, and he was probably around 7 feet tall. But he looked 25, and he had the face of a 25-year-old dude. And he was very subdued and kind of polite. And he walked over in his weird way to me, and my animal instincts were immediately like, what is this thing? And it was like, don't let them feel your fear, because that was how I lost the last test, was I was too afraid. And so it was like, just pretend like you're not afraid and it'll pass. Like, let the animal instinct go. And he sat down cross-legged on the floor, and I kind of just walked it, or like I kind of like was on my belly, and I kind of like army crawled over to him friendlily, like, what's your name? Like, my name's Alexis. He told me his name. I could not pronounce it. It was like not a name that I could think is fathomable. So it was also like, okay, this is buddy's not from here. And it was cute. It was like these beings and these hybrids want to be amongst us and hang out with the other young people, young adults, but they are freakish and to us, and will make us go, what the hell, in our current cultural state. But then they showed me beings like him walking amongst other, normal heighted humans in like an airport, and just walking amongst the crowd. And they have this kind of like swaying walk because they're much taller and their necks are longer. So they're kind of like swaying around a bit, but they were happy and wanting to be amongst us. And I believe it is because they are a hybrid of us and another race. And they're trying to basically integrate and participate with our society and normalize all these different types of hybrids, because they're mostly human. And so they want to be with us. They want to be amongst humans because that's who they think they are. And it was very endearing and touching to me that in a way that this young man wanted to like join our group and hang out with us, but knew it was going to be tough to see if maybe we would reject him. And I could feel that off him. Like he wanted to be accepted, but he was humble and like reserved enough to know that I might not accept him. And so it was very polite, the engagement. But he had, you know how our eyes have more of a solid ring around the color?
Mhm.
It felt like his was not as solid. Like there wasn't as much of a solid barrier between the whites of his eyes and the color of his eyes. It kind of bled into the whites of his eyes a bit, and it was like a light hazel color, and his hair was like a blondish reddish color. He had like a normal, I don't want to say, maybe like he looked kind of like any like he had like a squarish jaw, kind of longer face young man, but he was clearly larger than us and whatever. But he kind of hunched over himself to try and make himself small and be a part of the group. And it was very funny how lucid it was. But we accepted him in, and it was no problem. But I can't pronounce his name, which I guess that's going to be a bit of an issue. So we need to figure out some other way to call each other things, maybe, and maybe make nicknames for each other and stuff informally. Maybe will help with that, because whatever language they were raised on is very
Maybe
hard.
I'll have to go to sign language.
Could be, yeah.
Where we sign them, you know.
I mean, you can call me whatever you really want. Like, you don't need to have a name, really.
It's sort of like the angels. They don't care what you call them.
Right.
They just
But
call
he
them.
wanted to be included, wanted to hang out with the other young adults and giggle at whatever we were doing. I didn't even know. It's like we were just hanging out in our house. So it was cool though, but it was eerie because it could feel the approach, and it felt like it was a contact experience. It really was. And I've had many lucid dreams, and I'm active and doing stuff, and everybody's human. And then once in a while, no, there's one that's not. And they make themselves known. It's like, I can't focus on anything else. There is clearly a non-human hanging out with us or following me around. Very rare, though. It doesn't happen too often, but I don't mind. And I really have a lot of empathy for the hybrids, I feel like, and how they want to experience Earth and humanness and get to evolve their own races through mixing and working with us here from the conditions that they were from, which may no longer even exist. Like, they may not have anywhere else to go. So it feels like galactic ambassador kind of is an underlying thing that a lot of us are also being trained in. And I've seen enough contact people talking about these dream contacts where they set a stage in your mind and then they approach you in your own environment so you feel comfortable. So I've been prepped mentally for it, but I'm glad I passed the test. I felt like I was friendly and respectful to him enough, for sure. For me, the next time it'll be even easier. Mm-hmm. And the less human they look, it is obviously going to be harder to relate to them. But that one mention of like, we are all one, walking around in different suits, basically. So it makes it easier just being like, oh, I look like that as well. And own it.
Yeah.
Instead of make it an outsider or an other. I'm trying not to other anything. I feel like that's been a major healing process. We naturally want to other. We're taught to other things. Right. But instead, I've been learning that there is nowhere to go. So you can just absorb it all and claim it all as your own creation anyways, and get a kick out of it, being like, wow, look at me over there. I really showed out on those lions. Like, lion me is pretty cool. And that planet out there, that's another intelligent entity, and that's also me in another perspective. And then the astral projection becomes a lot easier because you can just see through the eyes of all these different versions of yourself. And I think that's where we're going, is more lucid dream, more astral projection. So clearing our pineal glands is like number one. Like, get all as many channels as you can, especially the good channels, get up the upper astral, jump upward, go to the higher harmonic universes and the star systems that are more evolved and advanced and stuff, and reattach to them and connect with them more. That's what I like to do in my work, I guess, is encourage that too. Encourage.
You're reminding me of so many dreams I've had that I'd forgotten about. Like just all this last bit here, like, you know, I've had, you know, I've seen flashing lights in the sky. I've seen clouds that weren't clouds.
Yeah.
But my only real experience with seeing anything, you know, extraterrestrial or extra dimensional was seeing a triangle shaped ship outside my bedroom window in a dream. You know, seeing it hovering there. And that was the only, like, and I'm just like, oh, I've never had an experience, but that was an experience. And I know that was, but also having dreams about, you know, flying, the dreams of flying are my favorites always. They are just like, I feel so happy. And I've, you know, had dreams of flying, you know, out of my classroom as a child, like flying around the classroom, above the whole classroom and seeing the students, flying above forests and seeing the trees. And then I started having dreams where I was flying up into the cosmos, up in, you know, stars and everywhere, just flying around and seeing other, you know, galactic entities and you know, beings of higher vibrations and things like that. And it's been so long. And I've been thinking, it was funny, I was just thinking recently, like, it's time. I'm ready for some new ones. And then you start talking about this and it just opens it all up for me. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it's likely going to be more now because you're lucky. Not everyone even gets to do flying like you. Like
There's so
rarely am flying ever. Ever. It might be because you're a sapphire child. Like who? I mean, just let you take your win. You know, I'm jealous, but I wonder. You know, your outer planets on your natal chart. It's coming to mind. I think maybe that also has to do with how you engage with the dream space and how free you get to be. Mine's Capricorn, so it's just like I'm a little more grounded, weirdly, in the outer planets. And
but I don't know.
That's good because we need you here. That's why we need you here to be the translator.
Yeah, I'll do what I can. You know, I love it. I'm happy, and I'm glad I came on today. Thank you again for having me.
Oh, love having you on. I'm glad we're in touch. So it's great. It's great.
Yes. And anyone interested in following me, I have ascensiondiaries.com for sessions. I do one-on-one sessions. So if you'd like some of my healing work, psychic medium work, I have bookings. You can open that. You can pick your time. Otherwise, I'm pretty much on all social medias as Ascension Diaries. YouTube, please go to my YouTube. I need more YouTube help. Instagram is where everybody hangs out. I have the most support on Instagram. And Telegram, my free Telegram chat room is also great because we have a space weather bot. You can make the space weather reports come up for you whenever you want because I'm sleeping half the day, right? So I've got people on the other side of the world constantly going in there and using the bot when I'm asleep because there's always wild stuff going on the Eastern hemisphere while all us Westerners are asleep. So much goes on. So I'm glad I'm watching that too. But yeah, my link tree should have all that. It should be under this video. And find whatever you need from me. And reach out and ask or tell me literally anything because I'm very much happy to be the galactic ambassador and actually do my job. So go ahead. I'm open to it. And keep connecting, and keep doing what you think you need to be doing. I'm here to support and cheerlead every different wave of volunteers that are here because there's a whole bunch of different jobs getting done at once. But I have a pretty good idea of what the schedule is. It's all starting to work itself out. I'm really starting to get a hang of it.
That's awesome.
It's hard when you have to balance the ether and the physical and find your footing in both. And it can be a lot. But you got this. You got
that
this.
is tricky. It has been getting easier. It's pure stubborn determination to not stop the Ascension Diaries.
Well, it's remembering that time doesn't really exist either. So we have a much bigger playing area when we don't have to attach so much to time and just kind of flow.
It is so freeing.
Cool. So Bex, do you have the winner for this?
I do. I have the winner of the Egyptian Soul Spa meditation, and that is Susan Aaron. Congratulations.
Oh, yay. Susan's on today.
Yeah, I saw her earlier. She's popping in.
Congrats, Susan.
Yes. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Alexis. It's been so much fun. It's always so much fun when you come on. It's such an enlightening experience.
We'll keep an eye on you and keep listening.
Yeah, we'll let you
her link tree. She's got a great link tree. So
I do. And if you ever want to come to Sedona as well, there's a retreat happening December 11th through 16th. This coming up on starseedadventures.com. You can check that out. And then I run a conference called the Great Family of Light Gathering. And our next one's going to be in September 2023. So you have some time for that. If you need more time, just go to familyoflight.info, put your website or your email in there, and you'll get invited to that conference when it's ready. But I just had to shoot that out there because conferencing and like bringing together the souls, we got to keep doing it for in the physical. So another
power
very
in numbers.
part.
There's power in numbers. For sure.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me shout that out.
Oh, awesome. No, thank you. We'll call you again. Thanks so much.
Okay. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah. Okay. Take care, everyone.